Okay, quick question. What the hell happened to Britney Spears? I don't have to tell you who she is. Anyone and everyone familiar with American pop music knows who Britney is. The only question is which one of her songs was dominating the charts when you came of age. And love it or hate it, there is still no denying the impact she's had on the industry. From her record-breaking album sales, to her live performances, to her various product and endorsement deals, and one extremely baffling film. That's why many were shocked to learn that the Princess of Pop is currently locked in a legal battle for control of her work, her money, and her own frickin' body. If you think that sounds like an episode of Handmaid's Tale, just listen to this leaked audio of Britney speaking to an LA County Superior Court judge just last month.
But my precious body, who's worked for my dad for the past 13 years, trying to be so good and pretty, so perfect when he works me so hard, when I do everything I'm told in the state of California, allowed my ignorant father to take his own daughter, who only has a role with me if I work with him. They set back the whole course and allowed him to do that to me.
To figure out how we got to this point, we've got to travel back to a time before Facetune, gender reveals, or even Instagram. Back to the moonlit shores of 2007. For many of us, it was a simpler time, but for Britney, her profile as a celebrity had already reached a point where she was not only constantly harassed by the press, but a perpetual punchline all throughout pop culture. She was also in the process of finalizing a very public divorce, all of which helped prompt some now infamous moments where she shaved her head, attacked a photographer's car, and gave a performance at that year's VMAs that most people agreed was hard to watch. Behind the scenes, she had brief visits to multiple treatment facilities and also tragically lost custody of both her children. As all this took place, press outlets began peddling the narrative of a tragically unwell starlet who clearly needed some kind of break, all the while continuing to broadcast intimate details of her personal life. The cognitive dissonance alone is enough to make anyone's head explode.
Oh man, she's totally lip syncing.
She doesn't have any lips.
Then came January 2008, when Britney was hospitalized after refusing to relinquish custody of her children. During that incident, she was placed on what's called a 5150 involuntary psychiatric hold. This happens when any peace officer, that is a cop, not a mental health professional, deems a person as a danger to themselves, a danger to others, or unable to provide themselves food, clothing, or shelter as a result of mental illness. They're then placed in a facility wherein a professional can evaluate them and determine what further treatment may be necessary. Britney was released 5 days later after being placed under what's called a conservatorship. That's when a judge deems an adult unfit to manage their own care or finances. In those situations, a conservator is put in place, usually a family member or loved one, to help care for and manage both the incapacitated person as well as their estate. For Britney, that person was her father, Jamie Spears, who was barely present during her rise to stardom, and who initially only filed for a temporary conservatorship. But up until 2019, he remained in place as the sole person in control of both her care and her finances. If you want a clue as to how rare that arrangement is for someone Britney's age, just look at how the conservators section in the California court's website is listed under seniors and conservatorship. And unfortunately, all the other details of the arrangement remain a secret. All that the public could see was what was happening on the outside. Ironically, this did not involve a lengthy hiatus away from the public eye. Instead, it had Britney guest starring on sitcoms, appearing at award shows, and releasing a documentary and another album just within the first year. And this narrative of the pop diva's comeback remained largely uninvestigated by the press. That was until help arrived via some of the world's most ruthless and relentless investigators, white women with a podcast. Dating back as far as 2009, certain fans of Britney remain adamant that this conservatorship was exploitative and not in the singer's best interest. For years, those fans scoured her various social posts for clues, uniting under the hashtag #FreeBritney. Then, a development came when an anonymous source, claiming to be a former member of Britney's legal team, left a voicemail with the hosts of a podcast called Britney's Gram, which was devoted to microanalyzing posts on her Instagram feed. This helped the hashtag #FreeBritney movement to truly gain traction over the course of 2019 and 2020, gaining the support of celebrities like Cher, Paris Hilton, and Miley Cyrus. But it wasn't until this year that the movement managed to go mainstream, starting with the release of the New York Times Presents documentary, Framing Britney Spears. It chronicles not only Britney's rise to fame and the press feeding frenzy that likely devoured her sanity, but the dubious nature of her ongoing and secret legal situation. Then, less than 2 weeks ago, the world got to hear Britney's thoughts on the conservatorship since it was put in place.
I truly believe this conservatorship is abusive.
Better yet, NYT also obtained confidential court documents showing how she fervently and repeatedly expressed opposition to this conservatorship that is reportedly so strict it, quote, restricted everything from whom she dated to the color of her kitchen cabinets, unquote. And while it's become apparent that Britney wants this arrangement to end, there is one request that she has been making since even before all this mess started.
She said, I don't want anyone touching me. I'm tired of everybody touching me.
So while it may seem like a good idea to pile on and tweet your support and follow every update, right now, the only person poised to truly put all this mess to an end is Britney herself. Meanwhile, all this press attention is what started the mess in the first place. So until she's ready to come forward and tell her story herself, there's someone else whose advice that we should be following.
Leave Britney alone!
If there's any topic out there that's got you scratching your head and you're too scared to ask, you should totally send it our way. Tweet using the hashtag #QuickQuestion or email us at questions@brainjoltmedia.com. Don't forget to follow us, and remember, quick questions don't always have quick answers.